My name is Brian Summers, and I want to do a quick video on the history of my 1966 Chevelle. I've owned this car for 41 years. It started back in 1982. My dad spotted the car on the side street off of Maple Avenue beside McLaughlin's Auto Sales. He went in to talk to him, and it turned out the car belonged to a guy that was there visiting. My dad asked him if he would sell it. He said yes, he would sell it for $800, and that's where it all began. 1982, we pulled the engine out and done a basic rebuild, rings, bearings, replaced 2 pistons because the piston skirts were broke off. The car had a 327 Muncie 4-speed and a 12-bolt posi with 411 gears in it. It was a heck of a car for a 15-year-old kid. In 1983, it started to come to the point where I had my vision of what the car I wanted it to look like. Put aluminum slots on it, Kelly supercharger tires, and the engine was pulled out again, and a General Kinetics camshaft was installed. I started a little bit of the body work on it at that time, so it had some gray primer spots, but the car was still very enjoyable for a young kid. After I graduated high school and I got to working in 1985, the body work was finished and I painted the car Le Mans blue, and I did paint the car myself. My dad and I did a paint job on a relative's Ford Ranchero for practice. He bought the paint and we painted the car for free, and that was the only practice that I had. In 1986, I had a little fender bender at the mall. I got hit by a Chevy Chevette. I ended up fixing the car over the winter of 86 and into 87. In 1987, the car got a tunnel ram put on it. I always wanted a tunnel ram, so I went out and bought a brand new tunnel ram and installed it. 1989, I had decided to start drag racing, so I built a trailer. I lived in a house trailer at the time, and I had 4 house trailer tires, so I figured what better way to start a trailer build than with 4 tires. So I went with that, went to the local steel distributor and bought all the steel, and a couple weeks later I had a trailer, and that's the car sitting on the trailer right there. 1989, I also rebuilt a 1981 Chevy pickup truck to use as a tow truck, and a truck that was 8 years old. It was in pretty rough shape. It was rusted out about everywhere it could be rusted out. Took me a couple months, but in a couple months' time, with a Texas rust-free bed and tailgate, new doors, fenders, inner fenders, and replaced 1 rocker panel, and it got a new long block engine put in it. It was a 256 cylinder and a 3-speed with granny gear standard transmission. In the end, I ended up with a fairly nice looking truck for a tow truck. I ended up drag racing the Chevelle from 89 to 94. And in 95 and 96, I ended up going dirt track racing for 2 years, which was a horrible mistake. I didn't do very good at all in the dirt track racing. In 97, I sold the dirt track car, and I had built a new engine for it over the winter because I wasn't sure if I was going to do it again or not. And I ended up buying a Malibu rolling chassis, and I put that engine in the rolling chassis and started back drag racing again. And that was this car here. I raced this car from 97 to 2007 and did really well with it. the way the drag racing was going in the class that I was running, I decided to quit once again, and I was going to kind of step down, so I completely redid my Chevelle in 2007, completely refreshing the engine, did the front suspension, brakes. In 2008, I started drag racing the Chevelle again in the sportsman class, and out of 8 times out that year, I won twice, and then I decided to give it up for good. So the car from 2008 until now has just been street driven and taken to cruise-ins and car shows, and that's about it. This car, however, was not the start of my love of cars. The car that started my car hobby was my dad's 1955 Chevy that he got 3 years prior to my Chevelle. He got it in 1979, and I was only 12 years old at the time, and we completely restored it. Maybe I'll do a story on it in the future. My Chevelle currently has the same 327. It's bored 30 over. It's got an Edelbrock RPM air gap intake on it, camel hump heads, TRW flat tops. Still has the 650 double pumper on it that was on it when I bought it in 1982. The camshaft is a Isky 292 Mega Cam. It sounds pretty healthy and it runs pretty good. The paint still hasn't been touched since I did it in 1986, and it doesn't look too awful bad. The stickers on the window are the same stickers that I put on it back in 83 or 84. The interior was originally maroon. All of the vinyl was painted with vinyl paint, black. The dash was painted black with spray cans. You can see the steering column is still the original maroon. I never painted it. The seats were out of a Monza to the best I can figure, and they are painted also. The floor mats have been in it since I graduated high school. I do have a few wind stickers on the back, not very many, but a few. I did a lot better in the red Malibu than I did in this car. The only major change that has happened since 1985 was in 1985 I had 14-inch aluminum slots on it, and I switched over to 15-inch a couple years ago. The front ones are original Anson Sprints from the 60s. The car was switched to an automatic too before I started drag racing it. It's got a shifter in it from swap meet. And I started out drag racing with a $25 Vega torque converter from the junkyard. That worked out really well. Never had any issues with it. Now it has a 3500 stall in it. I plan on doing a drive along video. I might add it to this one. My future videos, I will have some slideshows of car shows for the older folks that can't get out and go to the car shows, so they can watch them on YouTube. Some antique engine shows, drag racing, just about anything that has an engine in it. I'm going to be going to a show that's going to have a burnout contest. Might have some footage of that on there. And I'm going to be going to the Good Guys in Columbus. I might have some footage of that also on there. we're taking my dad's 55 Chevy. If these are any things that you might like, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much. When I first started drag racing back in 1989, I needed a set of slicks, and I found a set listed in the local advertiser paper for sale. And when I called about it, believe it or not, they were located at McLaughlin's Auto Sales. I went and looked at them and bought them. They are probably in the 60s, J.C. Penney's Scat Track cheater slicks. They're pretty weather cracked now, but back then they were in pretty decent shape. I ran those for the whole 1989 racing season, and then I went to a Goodyear regular drag slick. I just thought I would add this to the video. Thanks for watching.